This means I can move around. So that was supposed to have quotes around the humor part. So I hope everyone's enjoying themselves. Everyone like the food? I heard it was leftovers from inside the park. As Doug said, I wanted to thank everyone here, and you know, we really couldn't do this without you guys, and really all of you here make the partners really look good, and I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. Nicholas Sanchez, where are you? Can you stand up? So Nicholas is a tax manager. He came to us in the Damasco merger, and he's been working at the Damasco firm, I think 10, 11, 12 years, somewhere around there. So he knows the two partners, Jude and Julia Damasco, very well. Jude and Julia could not be here today, so I'm going to let Nicholas stand in for them and be the proxy. And you can see Jude and Julia for those of you who haven't met them. And see, they're actually doing client work today. And I don't know what gave them that idea. You know? Got to get them into the MKA culture. We don't work on the holiday party. But anyway, so what I always do every year is ask the new partners what the best thing about being a partner is at MKA. So I asked Julia, I said, well, what's the best thing? And all of a sudden she got real nervous. She was like, oh no, it looked like she was backed into a corner. I think she started sweating. And she goes, well, working with such great colleagues. And, I asked Jude what he thought was the best thing, and he hasn't answered me yet, so report back on that next year. Thank you, Nicholas. So we just had our sexual harassment training a few weeks ago. They really need to come up with a better name. I thought I was going to get some tips, but no. I had to cut out about 10 minutes of material, sorry about that. But I do have a few things I can tell without getting in trouble. So I want to start off with the 10 worst jokes in public accounting. So we can go to number 10. Why are accountants always so calm, composed, and methodical? It's because we have strong internal controls, right? Number 8. What is the difference between an accountant and a lawyer? The accountant knows he's boring. Number 6. The mantra of an accountant. We're not boring people, we just get excited over boring things. Number 5, what do you call an accountant seen talking to someone while they're popular? Why did the accountant cross the road? To bore the people on the other side. Number 3, how do you know when an accountant is on vacation? Well, he doesn't wear a tie and he comes in at 10 a.m. And the number 1 worst joke in public accounting, what is the definition of an accountant? Someone who does precision guesswork based on unreliable data provided by those of questionable knowledge. So I want to move on to the employee survey. I want to thank all the employees for answering. It was about a 97% response rate. So what was the biggest news story of the year? Puzan, where's Puzan? Can you stand up? Puzan, stand up. So, Puzan, based on the votes of your coworkers, what was the biggest news story of the year?
The election.
Oh, the election. Okay. Let me open up the results here and let's see what it was. No, it wasn't the election. It was the movie The Accountant. What a surprise, huh? So The Accountant. Hollywood finally made a movie about us, and boy, did they get it right. They could really relate. How many of you have seen it? Okay. Puzan, you can sit down. Thank you. The accuracy, like I said, they really nailed it. After 12 hours of preparing tax returns, I usually head down to South America and cook the books for some drug kingpins. Or I, hide monies from some international crime ring. I don't do it in tax season. Maybe when it's not so busy, I can come do those things. Actually, the Monday after it was released, this is actually true, a client calls up and he says, I watched the movie The Accountant on Friday and I have some tax questions for you. Okay. So he asked me some question about office and home deduction and so on, so I'm explaining the rules. I said, his name is John. I said, John, you think the movie's pretty accurate? He goes, it's accurate if you know how to shoot a gun. I said, okay. But the accuracy obviously was questionable. I was talking to June about the movie. June, where are you? Can you stand up? So I said, June, what do you think about the accuracy? And she says, you know what? There aren't any real accountants that look like Ben Affleck. There's one scene in the movie where he's hired to do this job, and they terminate him before the job is done. And they give him his full pay. And he becomes totally traumatized, and he's got this thing, and he almost breaks his own leg. I'm thinking, really? You really want to traumatize an accountant? You tie him down, you fold a map the wrong way. I mean, how hard is that? You know, or you use the eraser on the end of his number 2 pencil instead of the little pink one that we have on our desk. I mean, I take a job away from someone in the tax department, and they bring cartwheels down the hallway. You know, the scene on the right is on the commercial where he's writing all over the wall in permanent marker. I'm thinking, accountants don't use permanent marker and write on the wall. What are you talking about? Where's the 13-column paper and the number 2 pencil? And I heard Manny walked out after this scene. I also heard the Board of Accountancy is going to revoke his CPA license for all the fraud he's committing. Apparently, they're not concerned about the murders he commits. One part they got right is that he doesn't end up with the girl. There was actually one scene in the movie that was really, really, really accurate. And it's in this scene here in the conference room. And he solves the problem that he's been trying to solve. And all of a sudden he gets real gregarious and outgoing, and he's smiling, he's like flirting with the girl. Yeah, you know, I get excited when I solve problems. The number 2 story, biggest news event of the year that you guys voted on was, of course, Star Wars Rogue One. Comes out today. It was out last night, and I know multiple people were watching it last night. I know several of you were. I've got tickets for 7:30 tonight. Okay? And the story is about, it's set right before Episode 4, the very first movie, and how the Bothans steal the Death Star plans. And, you know, many Bothans died to provide this information. I'm not spoiling it, come on. So everyone knows I'm a big Star Wars fan, right? Since 1977, seeing Episode 4 in the theater for the first time. And I've told you guys, ladies, many times about my family's adventures at Star Tours in Anaheim and also in Florida. You can ask the tax staff whenever I talk about the taxation of the film industry. I use Star Wars examples. I'm sure they're kind of getting tired of it. So, are there any other Star Wars fans here besides me? And I was thinking, you know, we're in Hollywood, right? And you know, I'm thinking eventually we got to hire some movie stars here. For a while, I thought Vicki Martins was Angelica Houston. Max, where's Max? Can you stand up? There's Max back there. I thought we hired Grizzly Adams for a little while there. But anyway, Max, I think, might be a bigger Star Wars fan than me. He's already seen the film. I tried to convince him to bring his Yoda costume, his Jedi costume and lightsabers, but he wouldn't do it.
No fun.
No fun. But he has seen the movie before me. So like I said, the movie comes out today, it's already out, and it was a tough decision, you know. I had to come to work, but I think I really want to see the movie. Next year, today's the 16th, right? Next year, December 15th, Star Wars Episode 8 is slated to be released, right? So Catherine and Christine, and whoever's in charge of this party, can we not have it on December 15th? You know, Skywalker Ranch is in Marin in Northern California, and Skywalker Ranch, it's the headquarters of Lucasfilm. Okay? It's this big sprawling compound. And I've heard that they have a room with all the props from the movies. And you can see here R2-D2 and the Stormtrooper. And I've heard this big gigantic warehouse, and it's in like glass, and all the costumes and props. So I'm thinking if I could get in there, that'd be great. If I could give me a day in Lucasfilm, I can go wherever I wanted. You know, ILM stands for Industrial Light and Magic. ILM is where they created all the special effects for the Star Wars movies. Before Episode 4 came out in 1977, these special effects didn't exist. They actually had to create them. The original building was on Valjean Avenue in Van Nuys, right near the airport. You know, for about 3 years, we had a tax client. His name was David Tattersall, and he was a cinematographer for the prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3. I know Vince and his team, they get to go and do royalty audits for Lucasfilm. I'm so close to getting in. Can anyone introduce me to George Lucas? Anybody? Does anyone know Kathleen Kennedy, the new head of Lucasfilm? How about the head of Disney? How about Mickey Mouse? Can anyone give me? Anyone? If you know these people, I'm not joking, I would love to get in there. The third biggest, Pouzon was close, the third biggest story of the year was the election. And, you know, Trump winning, I mean, really? Every pundit, every pollster got it wrong. Yeah, I even picked to kind of make some of you Hillary supporters feel good, I picked a map that showed Hillary winning. This is not that we had won. Don't get your hopes up. And I was thinking, how many times does a billionaire move into public housing that was abandoned by a minority family? On election night, I'm sitting at my computer watching the map, right? And our polls close at 8 p.m. here in California. And so as the time goes by, the map keeps filling up either blue or red. And like any good accountant would do, I'm sitting there counting the votes. How many does Hillary need to win, and how many does Trump need to win? I'm sure I wasn't the only one doing that. And so everyone knows in California, they're about 65% Democratic. If there's any Republicans in the audience, no, don't raise your hands. Okay, you're surrounded by Democrats, okay? Now, just in case anyone has fear of reprisals and you need some brief counseling, you can call that number right there on the screen. I don't know why they use letters. Why can't they just put the numbers up there? When the polls closed at 8 o'clock local time California, the map just lit up blue right away for California. Everyone knew California would vote for Hillary. And that's part of the reason why so many of you are not only surprised, but you're upset. Everyone you know voted for Hillary. And in the days after the election, there were demonstrations and protests, violence, school closing, exams postponed. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Well, I also heard about a hotline we can call to receive some counseling. I think I got it up on the screen. I don't know why they're using letters, not numbers. And then I heard about all these celebrities that were saying, I'm going to leave the country if Trump wins. I'm waiting. Does anyone know when they're scheduled to leave? I even heard that several people here want to leave and go to Canada. Hey, Doug, can we open an office in Canada? It's going to be staffed quickly. On Wednesday morning, the day after the election, I saw David Capel with a big smile on his face. David, where are you? Can you stand up? I saw David walking around smiling, and I'm thinking, what is this? Did he vote for Trump? Is it the plastic bag ban, Proposition 67? What are you so excited? David, why are you so happy? Oh, Prop 99A. That was the 4-day week week. But you, David, you realize it failed, right? Okay. He was getting his hopes up, and he's like, he keeps asking me, what about the 4-day work week? I'm like, David, what are you talking about? So I started thinking, how could Trump's policies be implemented in public accounting? Should we put all of our bad clients into a basket of deplorables and deport all of them? Trump's biggest, most controversial campaign promise was to build a wall at the Mexican border and have Mexico pay for it. So I was thinking, what policy of Trump's would you apply at MKA? And that was the next survey question. And so, let me see, I have the results: audit, licensing, royalties, payroll, business management, human IT. Well, it's kind of a similar result all the way down the line. They would build a wall between the staff and our bad clients and make the partners pay for it. But I intentionally did not want to take... I intentionally don't want to read off the tax department results because, I don't want anyone to think I doctored the results. And you guys remember 4 or 5 years ago the incident with the raffle prizes and the audit that happened later. That's why I don't give out the prizes anymore. So Andrew, where's Andrew? Rosen, can you stand up? Andrew Rosen. So, independent third party of the tax department, would you please read the results of the tax department survey?
Yes, I will.
Sealed. Never been seen by human eyes. I wonder what it says.
Kind of makes sense, actually. Build a wall between us and you.
And I have to pay for it, okay. Well, I'll talk to you guys on Monday about that. So at this time, this is usually the time in my talk when I tell a story about MKA lore. These stories that are passed down at partner meetings so no one forgets the history. So that leads to the next, and it was the last survey question, is which story should I tell? Should I tell the story about partners finding a lamp or the partners on a train? And actually, let's see here, it was exactly 37 votes each. So it was a tie. So I get to break the tie, unless you want to hear both? Both? It's not, okay, I'll tell both. It's not dragging on too long. Okay, so the first story is the partners find a lamp. So this is the story of the managing partner and an audit partner and a tax partner. And when they tell these stories, they're never really clear about who these people are. So I think the managing partner had to be Mr. Manning over here, because he was the managing partner for so long. The audit partner, I think it may have been Jenny Bolsky, but I'm not quite sure. And the tax partner may have been Don Garrett. I'm also not sure about that. So all three of them are in the car and they're going out to lunch, and one of them sees a lamp on the side of the road, and they say, hey, let's pull over the car, let's take a look at the lamp. It looks like it might be a special kind of lamp, maybe very valuable. So they pull over, and the audit partner picks up the lamp and he rubs it, and out pops a genie, right? And the genie says, I'm the most powerful genie that ever lived. I can grant any wish your heart desires, but only one each. And the audit partner says, this is easy. I want to be transported to a private beach somewhere, away from the FASB, away from audits, away from all my clients. So poof, he disappears. The tax partner says, this is easy. I don't have to think about it. I want to go to the Bahamas. It's a tax haven for number one. I get away from the IRS, and I get away from all of my clients. Poof, he disappears. Manny, the managing partner, picks up the lamp, and he says, okay, Mr. Genie, it's my turn. I want them both back here after lunch. So we'll finish up with the audit, the partners on a train. So in this case, this is a long time ago. There were 3 audit partners and 3 tax partners, and they were at the train station, right? Taking trains, and they're all going to the same CPE. So the audit partners look over at the tax partners. Again, I'm not quite sure who these partners were, but they look over at the tax partners, and the tax partners have 1 ticket. And the audit partners have 3 tickets, and they say, well, how are you guys getting on the train? There's 3 of you with only 1 ticket. I say, well, just watch and learn, So they get on the train, and the 3 tax partners go into the bathroom, right? The conductor comes by, and he knocks, he says, tickets, please, and hands out 1 ticket, and the conductor walks by, and audit partners thinking, wow, that's pretty smart. So they're in the train station on the way back, and the audit partner is looking over at the tax partners. This time they don't have any tickets, and the audit partners have 1 ticket. Audit partners learn quickly. And so they say, how are you going to get on the train now? You don't have any tickets. And they said, just watch and learn. So they get on the train, and the 3 audit partners go into the restroom, and one of the tax partners knocks on the door and says, tickets, please. Anyway, thank everyone.